Hey everybody, so today I'm here to do September's Q&A. I asked you guys for questions over on my Instagram and also here on YouTube underneath my community tab on my channel. So I am taking from both of those places. I'm just going to start with the YouTube questions. I'm going to try to get to as many as possible. You guys submitted so many and so many good questions, but let's go ahead and get started. So the first question, how long did you breastfeed your girls? With Sophie, I exclusively pumped for her for 10 months, but she got frozen and then fresh breast milk because I had her sister up until around 3 years old, I believe. 3 years old or a little older or a little younger, give or take, somewhere around 3 years. And then with Remy, I exclusively pumped for, I believe, a year and like 9-10 months with her, and then she got frozen for really not too long after that because my stash had already pretty much dwindled because the weaning process was so long for me. So she kind of got it around, I'd say like 2 years worth. So 3 years with Sophie and 2 years with Remy. Next question, how do you discipline the girls when they're acting up? Normally it's a warning for things that they know that are wrong, like pushing, hurting one another, you know, might be something along the lines of doing something wrong in the house, like coloring on something they shouldn't be. Things like that that they know are just absolutely not. They go straight to timeout, no warning. And timeout is 1 minute for how old you are. So Sophie goes for 3 minutes, soon to be 4 minutes, and Remy goes for 2 minutes. I had to think there. I get their names mixed up all the time. That's basically the extent of things. If there's repeated offenses, I mean, time and time again, we will start to take things away, whether that be the TV, what they call their cubbies, which is basically Teddy Bear or Margaret, which is their favorite stuffed animals. We will take those away and you have to do something in return to earn them back. But that's basically how we discipline them. And same goes for when we're in public. I don't care where we are, mom will find a corner to do timeout. They know that. And the next question is, also in your grocery videos, you don't buy cow's milk. Is there a reason why you chose almond milk over cows? That happened with Sophie when she was of the age and we wanted to start introducing a different kind of milk. I don't even remember what age that was, but I tried cow's milk. We actually tried just regular store-bought cow's milk. We tried organic cow's milk, and then we also tried a local cow's milk that was also organic, and she had a horrible gas issue with them. I think it also made her constipated. I just found her time and time again around nap time, just being on her bed crying, telling me her tummy hurt, and that was really the only thing that was different. We stopped the cow's milk, tried almond milk, and we have never had that issue again. You know, they can have other forms of dairy, but the cow's milk I think was just too much for her, which does make sense. I know my dad was actually the same way too, and for a time, a period, I was also the same way. I do get kind of sensitive around cow's milk still, but not nearly as bad as when I was younger. And it just is something that kind of carried over with her sister. I don't think that Remy's even tried cow's milk, just because I was already buying almond, and I'm not going to try to keep one sippy cup to one kid and buy 2 different kinds of milk and all that. Personally, I also like almond milk for myself. It's just something that works for us. But my husband still widely prefers cow's milk, so it still is in our house, it just isn't something that I regularly buy. Next question is, what are you most looking forward to with Remy home when Sophie goes to school? Do you think it will be a difficult transition? Actually, I think we're going on the 3rd week of Sophie being in school. So as far as my favorite part of being home with Remy while Sophie's in school, it's just that, is that I get to be home with Remy. If everything goes okay, Remy will probably be starting preschool next year, next fall. So I really only have a year of this little window of time of being home alone with Remy, and I'm really trying to cherish it. It kind of dawned on me that Remy never got alone time with Mark and I the way that Sophie did for, you know, the couple years before her sister. So I don't know, it makes me really want to make this year count with her and just do things. So it's just been really fun to hang out with just Remy. It's really interesting. You know, when you have more than one child, I think it's hard to really hone in on their individual personalities because they might be doing so much stuff together, they're playing together, or, you know, sometimes they bring out the worst in each other, and that's just all about having siblings. But, you know, when you're alone with an individual child, it just really shows you who they are as a little person themselves. And I love getting to know Remy. I love getting to teach her things and, you know, just trying to spend this quality time with her. It's been a ton of fun. As far as the transition, it's been pretty great. I think the hardest part for anybody has been Remy. She does ask where her sister is. She does say that she misses her. She does ask, and there's been a couple times at drop off where Remy gets upset because she does come with us. And, you know, she always, by the time we get home, is completely fine, but she's always really excited to also get her sister from preschool and is excited to see her when she's home. And I love that. I love that, you know, that they're able to be apart, but they very much miss each other when they're not together. So that makes me feel really good. But the transition all around has been really good. Sophie, I think the hardest part is trying to get her to come home with me, but she does come out running every day and yelling mommy. So that is like literally one of my favorite parts of my day now, is seeing that she still very much wants to see me and she misses me while she's at school, but she loves school. And I don't think anybody who personally knows Sophie is surprised. This just, you know, it was the best decision ever for her, and she's very much liking it. So the next question is something that I got time and time again on the YouTube questions and also on Instagram, and it is about milk supply. A lot of people saying that, you know, this is their situation, their milk supply has decreased and how to increase it. And to you, I would say, the first step in trying to increase your supply is to troubleshoot. You want to look at issues that may be causing you to have a decreased supply. That's like the first step. So I would urge you to look at that, and then after you correct those, you know, if you have any kind of issues where they might be decreasing your supply, you'll want to give that change a week or two to see any results from it and keep at it. You know, it's not going to be overnight that you're going to see changes. And then once you get all of that squared away, you could look into different things that boost your supply as well. But I will link you guys a video that I've made on how to boost your milk supply. It's a very thorough video. Please watch that because I'm just giving you the bare basics. And, you know, it's hard for so many people who are in different positions for me to sit here and say for each person what the best thing to do would be to increase your supply. But if you watch that video, I promise you, you know, you're going to learn a lot, and I walk you through all the steps there. Next question. Do you and Mark ever get a date night? How do you get that balance? How do you transition your babies to table food? How is Sophie handling the transition to school? Has she made any friends? And how did you handle the big day? So lots of questions. First one, do you and Mark ever get a date night? Yes, pretty regularly, actually, fortunately. I would say now, there's at least, I would say, once a month where Sophie goes to a grandparent's house. Well, not just Sophie, both of them go to a grandparent's house. And with that, it just really depends on what we're doing for that date night. You know, there's days where we go out to dinner, we go to see a movie, we go do shopping, we go do whatever. You know, we go out and we do stuff. And then there's nights like last night where we stayed in, watched Wentworth and Ozark, cleaned our oven this morning, cleaned our drains last night, you know, just like stuff like that. That's just chilling at home, just trying to enjoy each other. So it very much varies. You know, you don't have to go out to have a good time. In the case where your kids couldn't go spend the night somewhere, you can still make time after they go to sleep. Fortunately, we do have good sleepers, so they're not really up throughout the night or anything. So after the girls go to bed at 7:30 at night, we are, you know, chilling out, watching a show, doing this, doing that, whatever. We used to be big into board games. We play video games. You know, you can still make a couple of hours go a long way at the end of every night. And as far as how to keep that balance, it's just being candid. You know, as far as Mark's personality, he's pretty laid back, and he's also not afraid to tell me what he wants, but he's pretty go with the flow. Whereas, like, if I don't get alone time with him, I'm like chomping at the bit. I get testy, I get irritated, and stuff like that. So there's some nights where I'm like, can we do this together, because I want to spend time with you. Like, I want to spend one-on-one time with you. And, you know, he always agrees to it. But it's just me being candid when I need those nights, when I need to have one-on-one time with him, when I feel that need, I voice it. And that's really all I can say about trying to keep the balance. You being who you were in your relationship before kids is just as important as being mom and dad. So the next question was, how do I transition my babies to table food? It just got to the point where it was like very slow, you know. I did different things with both girls. I can hardly even remember them starting on solids. They're just so old. They're so big now. It feels like a lifetime ago, and they're only 2 and 4, or almost 4, I guess I should say. But it was just kind of like a gradual transition. You know, you start to give them those little puffs, and the puffs turn into like teething biscuits, and the teething biscuits kind of turn into like just little pieces of soft food, like goldfish crackers or a piece of bread, and that kind of turns into like, okay, well, a whole vegetable, like a little green bean, or, you know, some corn, and just like things that they can slowly build up and learn how to chew and work with. And it's just a slow progression, you know. Or like pasta, that's also a really easy table food to give your kids because it's pretty soft and stuff like that. And it was just, I always just try to pay attention to what they could handle, you know, what I thought that they were ready for. And, you know, when you introduce a new food, you just stay close in case that they weren't ready for it and whatever. But it was just kind of like a slow progression with each of the girls. Remy was a little bit more difficult because of her feeding aversion. She would gag on a lot of food. So she is a totally, completely different story, but I try not to base stuff off of her because she did have some medical issues. But how is Sophie handling the transition to preschool? Like I said, she's handling it really, really well. And has she made any friends? I'm pretty sure she has. She comes home and says she's played with kids. I've asked her what their names are, and she calls them brother and sister, which then we had to have the conversation about how, you know, kids come from different families. They're not actually your brother and sister. And I've been trying to get her to ask them their names, like say, I like playing with you, my name's Sophie, what's your name? And she always says she's going to ask them, but then she can never remember when she gets home. How did you handle the big day? I was pretty good. In the morning, it was like busy. We were trying to make sure we were there on time and stuff like that, get pictures done. It was really good. I think Mark almost lost it when she walked out because I like got her ready. I got her dressed, did her hair, put her backpack on, all that. And I had her walk out to her dad, and I think he almost lost it then. But we both lost it in the car after we dropped her off. There was a song playing. I can't remember what it was, but I just kept thinking about how little she was, you know. We were just watching Ozark last night, and he's looking at his daughter, and he's like, I can't believe I used to carry you around like a football. And I was just like, isn't that the truth? So it was hard, but just for a few minutes. And Sophie made the transition for us super easy. Next question. Looking back, what were your pumping must-haves, favorite pump and accessories? My favorite pump, by far and away, Lansinoh SmartPump. Can't recommend it enough. I'll link you to Amazon, and I'll also link my review of it down below if you want to see an in-depth review. But as far as my must-haves, oh, I've been out of the game for a while, so it's hard for me to remember. But I have specific videos. I'll also link those as well for you if you want to see while I was in the game what I recommended. But off the top of my head, definitely the Lansinoh pump. I by far and away, out of all the ones I've tried, that was my favorite. I also really loved the Lactalite. That was something that came in handy a ton. It's like a little light that you can put onto your pump parts, and it'll light up your flange so you can see what you're doing. There was also the Lavie breast massager. That was just exceptional for getting clogs out. I mean, can't say enough good things about it. The Lil'Buds comfort packs, those were so nice, especially when I was dealing with the mastitis, the constant clog, as you guys know, the thrush. Ugh. APNO, which stands for all-purpose nipple ointment, that's a must-have. I'm trying to think. My Boon drying rack. the OXO bottle brush, 7th generation free and clear liquid soap. It's not nearly as expensive as specific bottle washing soaps or baby dish soaps, stuff like that, and it works just as well. Doesn't have any dyes or perfumes or anything. My BeauGen nipple cushions, those make pumping feel so good. I'm not really big on lubing my flanges every time. I get pretty lazy with that, but the BeauGen nipple cushions are easy to just put them in every time. I'm trying to think. That's all I can think of off the top of my head. Those things just made my journey a lot easier. But if you want more specific must-haves, definitely check out those videos. And next question, as you grow your family, do you have any plans to buy a new house? If so, do you and Mark have any tips on budgeting for that? Yes, we are planning on buying a house, and as far as budgeting for the saving, we're not really as much focused on that as we are as paying down our debt. So I don't really have any tips on that. Just see what you can do. I know it's really hard. You know, a lot of families just like us, it's hard to come up with money to put aside every month, you know, to pay down your debts. It's hard to do that kind of stuff. It really is. You have to be super diligent, and you don't always want to be. You know, sometimes mom just wants to order Wendy's for dinner, but it's not in the budget. My husband, I think that's the most least favorite phrase I ever say. Can you vouch for that, Mark?
Yeah.
It's not in the budget. That's probably his least favorite thing that comes out of my mouth, because I say it a lot. But next question, what's your favorite car seat and on-the-go baby gear? By far and away, the Nuna Rava has been my favorite car seat. I've only tried that and the Chicco NextFit. That's what it is. I prefer the Nuna Rava. I've handled other car seats and I prefer the Rava. So I think that's what we'll be sticking with unless I feel like there's something different. It is an expensive car seat, I know, but it has a high rear facing limit. It is exceptional quality. It's pretty compact. It's not nearly as wide. It doesn't sit as far back as our Chicco does, and I just can't say enough good things about it. I really do love that Nuna Rava. I also love the Nuna Pipa, which I'm going to have a review on coming soon. We got that when Remy was a baby, and oh my gosh, it took forever to get the review done, but it's coming soon. But the Nuna Pipa is a great infant car seat, and if you can't afford the Nunas, because like I said, I know that they're very expensive, I would look into Chicco. Chicco never did me wrong. I just prefer the Nunas now that I've had them, and I think that's what we'll buy moving forward. But the Chiccos are also a great option. I just think they're a bit bulkier. So still really good. You know, Chiccos and Nunas, I've had those car seats for, you know, 4 years now. The Nunas for about 2, and I haven't had any recalls on them. No issues. Never had anything sent back. Never had to call customer service. They clean up nice. They stay nice. Everything. So if you can't afford the Nunas, I would recommend the Chiccos. Great car seats. And as far as favorite on-the-go baby gear, Joovy Qool stroller. If you ask me to throw everything else away and keep one thing for my kids while I'm out, Joovy Qool stroller is what I'm keeping. By far and away the best thing. I use that stroller all the time. All the time. It's just so nice. I think it's an affordable option for a double, triple stroller, single, whatever you need. Got a review on that too. Trust me. I'm not just trying to link you guys to other videos, but it's just, I have so many. I'm coming up on my 400th, or I think I'm around 350. I think I'm around 350 uploads, so I have a ton of videos, guys. So I understand that, you know, finding these might not be the easiest for you, but, you know, I feel bad just mentioning things quickly when I've done a super thorough video, and I could give you a ton more details in those, but I would definitely keep that. Our Ergo Performance has been really nice. I loved the Solly baby wrap when my kids were babies, and that was really nice. But I think just hands down that Joovy Qool stroller is my favorite on-the-go gear. Next question is, how many ounces a day did your babies take, and did the amount of ounces you produced increase as they got older? As far as how many ounces they took, Sophie, as soon as she got out of like the kind of newborn stage, she was consistently at 5 ounces every 3 hours. That's what Sophie would take, except for her stretch at night where she slept. And with Remy, I can't tell you, because Remy again had a feeding aversion. I just remember the days where we were so excited that Remy ate 2 ounces in one setting. She was a huge exception to the rule. It was basically anything we could get into her was a good thing. And as far as my production goes, no, I actually produced more in the beginning stages of me pumping and less, but that was on purpose. I produced a lot and I was okay with that for a time with both of them. And then as I got farther in my journey, I wanted to deal with that less and less. So I started cutting out pumps, cutting out sessions, just playing around with it, and that slowly decreased my supply. But that was intentional. So as far as naturally, I bet I could have kept the same supply if I kept the same regimen going from the time I was 2 months postpartum to the time I was a year and 9 months postpartum. But I just didn't want to keep that up. So intentionally, no, I did not have the same supply throughout. So going to Instagram, this is probably my #1 most asked question aside from how many kids we want to have. And that is, why did I choose to single pump versus double pump? And that is because I was a massive overproducer and double pumping was inefficient for me opposed to single pumping. So when I was double pumping, I was trying to massage both breasts. I was trying to make sure they were both flowing, and I found I wasn't emptying correctly because I couldn't be as hands-on as if I was just single pumping. I don't know. It was just something that I noticed because I would get done double pumping and I felt like I had to single pump, and I was like, okay, well, let's empty this one and then I'll go to this one. And I was like, why don't I just single pump from the start? And when I noticed that, it seriously helped so much. Now, double pumping for most people makes sense because #1, it can actually increase your supply. Double pumping, I've been over this before. It's just been known. If you're stimulating both breasts, you're going to tend to get more. You might even see an increase if you pump both of them at the same time. #2, most people don't have a massive over amount that they produce, and that's normal. You're not supposed to make the amount that I was making. I was a weirdo, okay? So most people, that works, and that's good. But if you are struggling with emptying both breasts at the same time, don't be afraid to single pump. It's going to take longer because you're doing one, and then when that one's done, you do the other. You're not getting them both done at the same time, but it just might be more efficient for some people. So for, most people out there, double pump, do your thing. I double pumped with Sophie and I never had a problem. But with Remy, it was just not doable. So next question is, have you ever felt like your channel or interest on what to film has changed? I would say a little bit. Within parenthood though, I've never really wanted to film anything outside the realm of parenthood. Partly because I don't want to, but also partly because I just feel like it wouldn't fit at this point. That is what all my videos are surrounded around. But at the same time, I have had different things that I've wanted to film. Like I didn't film our trying to conceive journey with Remy because I just didn't want to. But this time I've brought you guys along for the ride because I wanted to, So it has changed a little bit, but within this subject. And I'm thinking of changing up my channel content or getting another channel. Any advice? And I would say go for it. I wanted to share a trying to conceive journey this time around, and I'm so glad that I did. I think it can be very rewarding, and your audience can tell when you genuinely want to try something different, try something new. Doesn't mean everything is going to be a knock out of the park, grand slam, home run. I tried that shop with me video, and it didn't do nearly as good as some of my other videos, but I enjoyed making it. It got me out of my comfort bubble. It might not be something that performs super well, but if it makes you happy, if you enjoy making it, I think a lot of your viewers can also see that as well, and that's what counts. So I would say go for it. As far as the separate channels, I don't really have any advice on that. I've never, well, I guess I did contemplate it with, like, when I was thinking about doing vlogs, but I decided against it because I realized as a YouTube consumer myself of videos, and I'm subscribed to people, I watch a lot of channels, I personally don't like different channels for different things. I like when it's all on one channel. And especially with YouTube being the way it is, it does not always notify people if you don't have the notification bell turned on. Sometimes subscriptions don't show up, and just they're just so finicky, you know, about alerting people who are actually subscribed to channels, that I just feel like I wouldn't want to personally risk my subscribers missing out on content on more than one platform. It seems hard enough as it is, but you know, you do you, you do whatever you feel like is going to make you a more genuine content creator. That's my advice. And good luck. Next question. Do you think you might choose to bring baby to breast instead of pumping next time? I'll probably do what I did with Remy, which was transition. I nursed in the hospital. I nursed for a couple weeks postpartum, and then I transitioned, and that's what I like to do. So I'll probably do that. So the answer is like yes and no. Like, I'm gonna nurse at first, but I'll transition just like I always do into exclusively pumping. Next question is someone who is in school, and she's saying, I'm due in December. Should I pump on campus? And if I store my milk in my cooler, is it safe to freeze it when I get home? Yes, absolutely. You know, you want to pump as often as you can. I know with jobs and school, that's very, very difficult, but you want to try and keep that schedule as best as possible. And if you can't, totally understand. Just do what you can when you can. And as far as you storing it, just make sure you have a really, really good ice pack. I like the Medela ones. They're nice and thick. They'll keep your milk cold all day long. And put them into breast milk storage bags so it's even quicker to get cold and stay cold. And then just go ahead and put them in the freezer when you get home. If you have a cooler bag with an ice pack, your milk will be good for 24 hours, just staying in that cooler bag. So as long as you're within that 24-hour period and you get it into a freezer, you're going to be good. Next question is, what was something that surprised you about motherhood when you first had Sophie and Remy, and what are your thoughts about their spacing? With Sophie, what surprised me was how much she softened me. You know, I have a pretty hard exterior. I don't really know how to put it other than that. And when I had her, it was just like the first human being who I thought could do no wrong. You know, like I just, you know, found myself making the baby voice and just being consumed and just entirely wrapped around her finger immediately. And it was really surprising to me how quickly I went from thinking I was a badass to just being someone's complete and utter I'll do anything for you. And with Remy, I was probably surprised at how effortlessly you can just love another child. You know, I had no doubts that I could love them equally, that, you know, your heart can grow like everybody tells you you can. You know, I know a lot of people worry about loving their second child as much as their first and stuff like that. That wasn't really ever a concern for me. It was just like, you know, is this immediate? Or do I have to get to know Remy for this time? You know, like I didn't know how it would happen. And it's immediate. It's without thinking about it. It just happens. And that just kind of surprised me. It's just like, it's almost like it was there all along and you just didn't know. I don't know how to explain it, but that was kind of surprising to me with her. And as far as their spacing goes, I know that I think I've said before that I didn't want to do 2 under 2 again. It was tough and whatever, but honestly, with what we've been over this past year, nothing was as rough as this past year. And in perspective, it's not that big of a deal. You know, I think it was so hard the first time because we didn't know what to expect with having a 1.5-year-old and a newborn. Now I can understand it. I can look back and reflect, and I get it. And quite honestly, from here on out, we are not planning to space our kids a certain way. Just with the past experience we've had over this year, it's been tough, and we're just not interested in doing that anymore. I think their age is great. I don't really know that it matters though. I think that their age isn't dependent on how close they'll be or how well they'll get along or if they fight or they don't fight. You know, siblings are siblings. So I think that's just more something that's maybe on your end, you know, and what ends up happening. Next question is it possible to pump and bottle feed during the day and nurse at night? Absolutely. Next question is, I had a low supply from the start with my daughter. Do you think it would help to pump from the very start this time in addition to her nursing if she's able? I would talk to an IBCLC and see what she has to say, but my gut leans towards no. in the case that you have, you know, an underlying condition that may affect your milk supply, then maybe, but that's something you want to talk to the IBCLC about. You know, she'll be able to help you and understand that kind of stuff. But otherwise, you know, it might have just been something that wasn't working right. It might be singular to your experience with your older daughter, is what I'm saying. So just because of that, and if you nurse and pump at the same time, you can create a massive oversupply, which I know to people who undersupply that might not sound like a big deal, but it can also hurt a nursing relationship. And the very last question is, why do I prefer pumping over straight from the breast? And I get this question, I would say, pretty regularly. And I would say that, quite honestly, I have my experience with nursing and I have my experience with exclusively pumping. And everybody, from me to the child I was breastfeeding, to my family as a whole, to how things worked out, how they fit in our lives, it was just better with exclusively pumping. I was happier, my child was happier, everything flowed easier, it fit into our lives better than with nursing. Is there a possibility that there's underlying feelings, and could I dive deeper and figure out other reasons? I'm sure. Do I care to? Not really. You know, like I think a lot of people ask me that question over and over again because they want a deeper explanation as to why I like to exclusively pump over nursing. And maybe there is, but I don't really care to know. That's not what's important to me. What's important to me is just doing what I feel is best and what I think is a good fit. And with both times that has been exclusively pumping, I have never transitioned to exclusively pumping and regretted it. And if I did, I would do something differently. But I just prefer it. And I think that that's kind of a lackluster kind of response for a lot of people. You know, I think a lot of people want a deeper answer than that. And for some, there probably is. But for me, I like it better. It's exactly what it is. So those are all the questions that I have. Thank you so much for submitting all of your questions to me. Thank you to all of you who comment and subscribe and like all of my content, whether it's here on YouTube or on Instagram, whatever. I just really appreciate all the support that you give me. I love you guys, and if you have any other questions, leave them down in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.